Tuesday night. He's back. Soren Petro. It's been a long day. The man's working hard for his money. Let's win him some money. We need advice, leans and likes. Week 3 in the National Football League. Week 4 in college football. And as you've already heard from a lot of the national people on college football, it doesn't look like anyone could beat Alabama. I swear to God, I heard that today on ESPN National. And the problem is, this is what we run into. So keep in mind, to me, last week showed like we're going to have a really good wide open season because Alabama barely won that game against Florida. The problem is ESPN National has now put together a lineup where they insist on pulling from their ESPN New York station. So they've got New York guys trying to break down college football with Mike Golick Jr. And I sat there today. And I'm like, what is this guy? Not Golick Jr., but I'm like, what are they talking about here? I'm like, it looks like we're going to have a great college football season with a ton of balance. And this guy's like, I don't think anyone can beat Alabama. Like, they just barely got by Florida.
A Florida team that has a coach in Dan Mullen that few people want to respect, and that they were talking like, was trash. So, yeah, I don't get it. I mean, listen, I'm open to the idea that Alabama is going to run roughshod the rest of the way. Usually great championship teams. I remember the UNLV team in 1990 that won the national championship got by a Ball State team by like 4 points in route, but they routed everybody else and blew up Duke by like 20 points in the championship game. A lot of times great teams will have one close call. Is that what this was for Alabama? Their one close call, and now it's going to be destruction? Or is this a sign that, hey, everybody jumped the gun and Alabama, while still maybe being the best team, is not 3 generations better than everybody else?
So I've been preaching this since last year that with new quarterbacks at the powerhouse schools, things are going to be different. Not every guy is going to come through. Super seniors back for a lot of the teams that are just below the elite of the elite. That's going to help. And I do think almost every elite school in the country now has a problem at quarterback. Not with their starter, but if their starter goes down, there ain't no quarterbacks behind them because they're all like, screw it, man, I'm going to get playing time. And it's going to change the landscape of college football. So it's funny. I'm going to go back, and I just want to mention a bet real quick because I want to update this every once in a while to see if I'm in decent shape or maybe I'm still screwed. John Von Tobel, who does our podcast, came on the night of the national championship and was like, looking ahead, right? Like, what does it matter? It's going to be the same schools basically that make the Final Four. He's like, I'll just take these 6, right? And I'm like, all right, I'll take the rest of the country. Let's go. Pick your 6. So he chose Bama, Clemson, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Georgia. And then I think he got kind of flippant and he was like, I'll take Miami. All right. Well, that's screwed already. Right. So right now, my best teams all I need is to get a spot in the Final Four, college football playoff. I've got Oregon, Texas A&M, Iowa, Penn State, Michigan, Cincinnati, Notre Dame, Florida. I think Iowa State is still going to win the Big 12. Now, can they get in with one loss? That's kind of this whole discussion. BYU is interesting. We'll see. And then I also have Oklahoma State. So can I get one from that group? I think so.
Historically, I've run it like where the Final Four teams are when the first college football playoff rankings come out, and like what's their low water mark in the AP, what was the low water mark in the preseason. The AP preseason poll has gotten closer and closer. It's like gotten harder to find a team. That's clearly a trend, but I think it's also something that feeds on itself. And I think it's it just needs one thing to break, right? One team to go wrong. And I think Clemson is going wrong right now. And when Clemson, when they go south, if they lose a game after an unimpressive win against Georgia Tech, that thing's Georgia too. Which I'm not sure how good I'm not sure how good Georgia's offense is because I know Clemson's offense is terrible, and we talked about it. DJ Uiagalelei is not good.
Yep. Well, I don't know that he's not good, but I think he's got some flaws, and it doesn't make them unbeatable. Obviously, Ohio State already dropped the game. Oklahoma so far, I don't know, man. That Nebraska game, that was not great. They're gonna stumble at some point, and then they have, I think it's the second to last game of the season of the Big 12. That team in Iowa State, no matter where Iowa State is, Iowa State has a defense. and Iowa State's got a good running game, so that's going to be a dangerous game. So I think I'm in decent shape. We'll see what happens.
Can I just because it's a pet peeve of mine, explain to me why QB DJ at Clemson is good?
What are you saying that he's not good? He can't read defense.
59%, 1 touchdown, 2 INTs. No, I don't think. Well, I think he is hampered by I know against Georgia, it was the worst.
Yeah,
it was the worst route combinations I've ever seen in a major game. Like it was awful. Guys, literally receivers just standing around. But guys were open and he didn't see it. He didn't check down. He locked onto guys. I think he's 6'6", 250, looks the part, has a cannon arm, but you got to throw a touch. You got to see the field, and you got to know when to check down. And he's not evasive. How bad did it have to be against Georgia Tech for you to be like, wow, that totally backed up the last game?
Like maybe the Georgia Tech game is probably even more telling. The fact that they barely got by in that one.
I mean,
again, I think he will be an elite prospect as a more finished product. He's just starting off his career, but this is my original point. Just because we got a little cup of coffee in that Notre Dame game of Uiagalelei did not mean that he was going to be freaking unbelievable. It didn't mean, CJ Stroud, there's no guarantee that he was going to be unbelievable. Rattler's really good at quarterback for Oklahoma, but man, that team, I didn't get what was going on against Nebraska. I thought early in the first half, I thought they had all the momentum, and then Nebraska just stuck around. And I still don't think Nebraska's any better than probably a 4 or 5 win team.
I like to throw love to the people who educate me, and I'm going to tell you, I think this was a Tom Fornelli from CBS Sports on the Cover 3 podcast, said he rattled off like the lowest or yards per attempt, and Spencer Rattler's yards per attempt were down even with I'm trying to play Connor Bazelak of Missouri. Like he just had quantity of attempts. And so I don't think that there is this smells to me more like a Geno Smith quarterback draft year than it does last year. Like everyone's decided that there's just going to be 4 or 5 first round quarterbacks every year. You find them this year. The Nevada kid was supposed to be a first rounder. I mean, K-State can mess with some people. Chris Kleiman can flat out coach football. K-State kids, that's a tough football team. It's a tough environment. Yep. But you're an NFL quarterback. You're supposed to do more than that.
Of course. That was one of my favorite games of the week last week. K-State was like plus 1.5 too. Didn't even have to sweat it.
Yeah. I mean, Kleiman can coach, and now he's getting 6 from an Oklahoma State team that hasn't put anybody away. 1-point win at Boise State in a game that neither team scored in the second half. An unimpressive win against Tulsa, and yet K-State finds themselves getting 6. Now, don't get me wrong; they lost to a 1AA school last year, so I mean they can lay an egg. I mean they're gonna drag bigger, more dynamic teams down into the mud, but they'll pull up some of the schools that are less than them. But I don't think that's Oklahoma State.
This is a tough question because the NFL is so quarterback hungry, but I don't look at him as a first rounder. Just on the size alone worries me.
I think you're going to watch as the season goes along. The size doesn't worry me as much because more and more guys. I mean, Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield. Remember when Baker Mayfield went at 6'1.5" or maybe 5'11 3/4, whatever he was. He went 1-1. Everyone's like, oh my god. And then
I know, but when you watch those guys move and get out of the pocket and throw on the run, can Rattler do that?
Can he be a Mahomes? Mahomes doesn't run to run. He scrambles to throw.
Right.
Does he have the Mahomes arm? No. I mean, like, would I take Rattler in the first? No. But will he go in the first?
People will get on Baker Mayfield in certain regards, but like at his, I mean, he has a fucking gun. And even watching him scramble against, and it was the Texans, but even watching him get outside, man, he's a good athlete. And I mean, Kyler Murray, it's that whole thing is insane. We were talking about it on Monday, just some of the arm angles and, throwing across his body. And, a lot of it, we were also mentioning the fact that, some of the throws he makes really are that of a middle infielder, where you're going the wrong way. And then you're just like, you have to throw it back to first base. Like he's throwing it, he's pushing it 40 yards down the field, like freaking going the wrong way.
Yeah, there's some Mahomes like throws.
Yeah, I think we tend to, when we see a guy like, especially Kyler Murray, who's kind of a freak, we tend to think like, oh, there's a bunch of small quarterbacks who can do that. Like, nah,
no,
not the arm, not the athleticism. He looks, when he runs, it looks like he's running 1,000 miles an hour, like baby steps. And
well, the North Carolina kid was supposed to maybe be the number 1 overall pick, and he crapped us at the first game.
They bounced back pretty good this weekend though.
They did.
So, 59-39 against Virginia. I thought Virginia would stay within hailing distance. Nope. Who's a high school suspended guy? Rattler or Mayfield? Who? What?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Follow up on that.
Brady, who are you talking about?
Yeah. So let's look at the college board real quick, and we'll get to the NFL board, and we'll kind of go back to last week. Did you have anything you liked last week that you hit on? I mentioned Kansas State. I had BYU. I decided to roll with BYU. Did you?
Yeah, I like Penn State in the point, or laying the 5, and I don't usually like to lay out 5. That was a tough one. I love the tease down dogs. I'm going to be attracted to K-State plus the 6 against Oklahoma State this week, but I think Penn State's good, and I think Auburn's more on reputation, first-year coach. I think that was pretty easy pickings. I mean, it was hard. It's always hard for me to lay a 5.5 or 6. I'd much rather lay 7.5. I know that sounds dumb, but to me, it's a commitment that there's some belief in what's going on. And so very proud of the Penn State pick. K-State was there. We picked we had some picks that like wouldn't even be on the board on most boards that we used on the show, but I thought those I need to go back and look at more of. I got this week's in front. Let me go back and look at the scores.
Hey Brady, where is this bet on the William Hill app? See, we should tell the Midwest audience what's going on here. So it's interesting. You got all this competition now with these betting apps, and we don't really have any new competition in Vegas. I don't think so. There's hasn't been anyone else made eligible. DraftKings and FanDuel still not allowed here. But the William Hill app, for some reason, Seren, has been crashing left and right on the first 2 NFL Sundays for like 45 minutes to an hour. And it happened again this past Sunday, like right around the 1 o'clock games, our 1 o'clock game. Well, I guess, 4 o'clock, 1 o'clock, our 1 o'clock games. And it happened week 1. So I guess they gave like a $25 free bet. I didn't even know it was up there. So
if you're a real player, though, what is that? How?
It doesn't do anything.
Nothing.
It doesn't do anything because, and I don't bet a lot of money, but as I was sitting there, and of course you start to get all worked up. You're like, all right, my in play right now would be 3-0. I can't get the 3 goddamn games down. You're like, I can't get this money back. Yeah, but for real, here's the conundrum in Vegas. William Hill / Caesars, they have the best in play options, the most in play options. The other apps are more reliable. Some of them are more reliable, but they don't have the same options. So it's like you're in this catch-22 where you're like, I love this because I want to play and play, but the goddamn thing doesn't work often. So it's really weird.
And what did they say the reason was?
Did they give an explanation? I don't think they gave an explanation. It happened a bunch last year, and it's happened the first 2 weeks this year. Oh, they put it straight into the account. Okay. I thought I was up a lot more than, okay. There you go.
$25. That's a big week for you, Steve.
It was a massive week. Actually, I've been talking about my trip to Arizona. I opened up a what's it called account, DraftKings account, and you see the ad nationally. My cousin, what's her name? What's her first name again? Jesse Cofield with 2 F's. They've been pitching, hey, $200 goes into your account if you just bet $1. Now, behind her, you can see on the screen, it's $200 in free bets, which I actually kind of enjoyed because I won. I think I went 6-2 on the free bet. So I got the free bets were $25, but you get to pad your account a little bit. So that was kind of cool. That was a good promotion. So good for them.
I look forward to it whenever the lawmakers in Kansas and Missouri.
Jesus, dude. You will be amazed when it gets there. The freaking bonanza attack on the people of Missouri and Kansas will be incredible because it is like every state they go to, it is all about customer acquisition. Like we have Westgate here, which has been here forever. Westgate finally offered a bonus, and I'm not getting on those guys because they don't have to do it in Vegas. Like they finally offered a you open an account with $100, you get $100 free. You go to other states, the bonuses are insane. The latest thing they're doing is, and this is actually really interesting. When you open an account, a lot of them are doing. You get a free bet, $1,000 free bet, a $2,000 free bet, a $5,000 free bet. Has anyone in the chat room tried these things in other states? Do you actually have to open your account with that amount of money in? Because I would think they're not just going to let you bet $2,000 for free. I would think you'd have to open it with $1,000 or $2,000.
There's got to be some minimums.
Yeah, but the specials are crazy. I don't love those, but they're so aggressive just to acquire the player and then shoot you some specials. Like WinBet last week in Arizona, you got Alabama money line against Florida. Now it's funny now because they barely won. Alabama money line at what? The game was 14.5. It was even money. Now, again, it was a nothing bet. You could max bet like $25, right? 2 weeks ago, they offered a 2-team parlay on the same game. That was a free bet. So they're doing some cool things. Now, there's a lot of scamming going on. Like, there's a whole thing. Maybe I'll link it out. Barstool Sports is doing these like boosted parlays, and the parlays are thrown out by like their people, PFT commenter, and they're creative. I mean, I think one of them was like Jets, Jaguars, and someone else who just absolutely shit the bed on a 3-teamer. They gave you an extra half point on each team, and they give you 750 on a 3-teamer instead of 6-1. That's traditional, and it just got destroyed. So,
like, I don't need. It's the opposite of the guy who needed the Lions. Right? Did you see that?
That's right. I forgot to freaking mention that. Was that a 15-teamer or a 12-teamer?
It was 16. It was every game.
Oh my God! Like
you first 15, and there's only like 3 or 4 dogs. They were all money lines.
Please tell me the guy hedged it. Oh my God!
I have not heard, but he was due for 760 some odd thousand. He had the Lions. Had to win outright. They were on the money line, and I was thinking about it. So like Green Bay, I think was like minus 400. So you would need to hedge. A lot of ways to do it, but if you took Green Bay. The problem is like that all sounds great about hedging it, but you got to find somebody to take the action.
That and you got to have the money.
Yeah,
you got to
get your hands on the cash.
What are you going to do if you want to put up $150,000, $200,000? At a plus number. Good luck. For most people, money.
Yeah,
and you're right. If it were like $300,000. It ain't that easy as, even in Vegas with higher limits, it ain't that easy to walk into a book and go, they're not going to take 300,000.
Taking it.
So you're going to have to spread it around. I don't know how many books you'd have to go to if you could even get 50,000 down at like 4 or 6 books.
I'll bet you couldn't get more than 10,000 down. Like, especially once you started walking all over town, they're on the phones to each other.
Of course.
I mean, listen, I'm sure there are guys listening right now that have much more experience at that. I mean, I have friends who have runners in Vegas, or a friend, I shouldn't say friends. Like you probably have many, Steve, being out there, but I've got my one friend who, is playing large amounts and, and they're a group and he's always looking for somebody different to lay everything off. And he lays it off all over the country and all offshore and everything. But, I got like, if you're just, Joe Jackass that, I think it was a $25 bet. And, so like he got $25. How's he getting a hold of $300,000-$400,000 to play the other way for $150K?
Alex follows up on that. Hey, you can make a free $2,000 bet. You got to put $2,000 in. So you got to put the money up, and it's a free bet, but then they got that money in the account. And I'm not sure that they get, you could take it out immediately. I don't know how it works.
That is one of the things I'm curious, like how, the old offshore days, you'd be like, okay, you start winning. You're like, okay, I'm going to close out my account. They're like, yeah, it doesn't work like that. And you're just kind of
like, what do you mean?
No, I want my money. Yeah, we'll get it to you. Like you were like at the mercy. If you're a small time player, fine.
Yeah.
If you're winning real money, they'll just turn you off. Like, is it working like that now with all the digital and online and phone betting? Are they just turning anyone off who's just crushing them?
Oh, I don't know because I haven't played enough out of the market. I mean, in Vegas, it's still the same. There are books here. Once you start winning, you're done, or your limits are dropped to nothing.
Right.
So, it's for big players. It's hard to get the money down, and that's why there's still kind of an underground. I got to spread my money around. I got to use runners. I've got to have freaking 12 people with accounts.
Yeah, that's that's my buddy. And I try to explain that to people around here. They're like, oh, well, I'll do this and I'll do that. I'm like, well, they're not going to keep taking your action. What are you talking about? They got to. I'm like, you really are completely full of shit, aren't you?
You have no idea.
You have no idea how this really works, how difficult it is to get that kind of action down. Right? Like, I mean, you have no concept of how many different places you got to try to get your bets in to try to get that big, can't lose deal. And just if you're $100,000, and like I said, I know a guy who plays those kind of numbers, and it's insane. All the effort is in getting the bets in.
Yeah, Brady said he got a Trump guy or a Trump better, 50-1 for $1,000, never got his money or the $1,000 back. I mean, that's an offshore bet.
Really?
I mean, my experience so far outside of Vegas, getting money out of the account, New Jersey was very easy. I signed up for a Caesars account at the beginning of the week. Whatever. I was playing freaking. I put in 200. I was playing like $25 a game or something, and I was able to take out money 5 days later pretty easily. So, no problem.
Yeah,
that's the way it should be. That's the whole point. You don't have to play offshore. You don't have to go the illegal route because we're on the up and up. So, better be that way.
Agreed.
Most of the issues are limit issues, and I had already heard. I know there were people who were trying to get money down in New Jersey at some of those books before on future for college football win totals and games of the year, and they were having a lot of trouble getting anything down more than like $100, $200 a game. So they flew cross country to put on all these bets, and these are professionals who bet a lot more than that, and they're like $200. Like, what is this?
That's and
that's the thing. That's the business model. This is not about they need the sharps money to balance the other. They don't give a shit. I mean, you see the commercials. This is all volume, and they don't want sharps. They just they want rubes, and they want to be able to. I mean, that's the other disturbing thing is when you go. Arizona was horrendous. There was an extra 10 cents on the line on in-play games, so you're minus 125, minus 105 on in-play bets. They've juiced it up even more, but people don't know, so they don't know what the prices are supposed to be. So they're kind of nickel and diming you that way. So you gotta, to me, if you're not careful with the prices, I mean, this thing sports gambling is so freaking hard to win. If you're betting into bad prices, I mean, you got no shot. You're pissing away extra money on the initial bet. Dead meat, totally dead meat.
Yeah, shopping lines and that all that's going to end up. I mean, it's big. It's a huge part of the equation. It's why everyone thinks they're just going to on the side make a few bets, and they're going to be great. They're going to have all this great side income. They don't understand all the effort, time, and energy that goes into actually making it happen.
No, the people who do it, it's not side income. That's their income.
Yes.
They do.
And they work more than 8 hours a day.
And here, I'll give you the other thing. The other thing is, I think you have to bet in game. Like I told you last week, one of the things I've been doing is trying to bet some baseball and trying to bet some dogs. Right. So
that's how I go.
In multiple cases, I would get to the 8th inning. I got a plus 190 favorite. Right. I got like a 2-run lead, and then I'm like, all right, like, do I want to win the whole bet, or do I want to make sure I just win something? Because at that point, then you can get the favorite for like whatever, on a 2-inning comeback, you might be able to get 250, might be able to get 300, if it's a 3-run lead. So there were a couple times I'm like, I'm going to take about a quarter of the bet. I'm going to put it on the favorite, and I'm going to cut into my profits, but I'm not getting effed by some stupid comeback at the end of the game. But the thing is, there were a couple of games where I didn't catch whatever the line in time. I wasn't monitored. Like, you got to watch this shit all the time as the games are going on. It's not just like I'm going to bet, I'm not going to watch a game, and I'm going to see how I do. Like, I think in play is an integral part of fun, like, the football game last night. Now it didn't work out, but there was a middle up for grabs there when you had the Lions plus 11.5. I don't know how low the line got on the Packers side. Maybe I got it as low as you could. It was 14-7, so I got Packers minus 4.5, right? So now if I have Lions plus 11.5 and I got Packers minus 4.5, I got a wide range there for a middle. Now it didn't work out because Jared Goff shit himself and couldn't score the late touchdown. But it was like little stuff like that. Those middle opportunities, you can't freaking miss them when they actually hit.
I would go a little towards the offensive coordinator kind of shit himself and had some, ran out of the handful of plays he actually had. But to your point is valid. Yes, but it was a worthwhile effort.
Yeah, you got to grind. You got to pay attention. So not that easy.
5 computers, 5 monitors set up, ready to roll.
You like that?
I do.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's what it takes.
Yeah. All right. So a little college football this week before we get to the NFL. I was going to say go back to the well, but it's the well of losing. Well, I'm really a Kansas whore right now. I don't know. I want things to work out for Jed. I want some hope. Still some hope. Boy, last week it was like plus 18 against Baylor. I'm gonna think about this a little bit. So I thought about it and I didn't do it. Thank God, because they lost 49-7.
Mm-hmm.
Now they bounce back.
You know that what the score was at the half?
No, what was it?
14-7 Baylor.
Oh no.
14-7 Baylor, and Kansas fans are thinking they got a chance for a win. You take your cover and stick it. They're going to win this game.
Oh my God.
And they blinked their eyes in the third quarter, and it was over. And it just speaks to, I mean, listen, my pick on our show picks was Kansas, but I said, look, I'm not betting this. You cannot bet Kansas. They're basically unbettable. They just don't have the horses. And so but it was amazing how they just looked like, oh my God, Lance Leipold, he's got something going. And then no, gone. Baylor. And Baylor's not good. And by the way, that's one of the ones I do like this week is who's Baylor got? The other side is, it's Iowa State. I mean, I love Iowa State against Baylor.
I don't know, dude. We had a quick discussion on our local show. Adam Hill crapped on Iowa State because he thought in a game they won 48-3, where Brock Purdy went 21-24 for 283, and Breece Hall, had nearly 100 yards in the first half, went over 100. They had a receiver with 10 catches. He and JVT, I guess, were sitting there getting on Iowa State because they targeted the guy who had 10 catches way too much. I'm like, it worked. What's the fucking difference? And the other thing is, again, you're going against a team that can't compete with you. You're not going to show anything for the real opponents coming up. And I also think they wanted to get Brock Purdy back on track. So let's, if we're targeting this guy, we're going to get their tight end is gigantic and an NFL prospect. I don't know. I was really impressed. I think their defense is awesome. And like I said, I still think they're a CFP contender. They're going to have to run the table and get some breaks, but that's a good team. They were the team I saw the week before that was supposedly a top 25 team. Arizona State is good, has some talent, but Arizona State was not Iowa State.
No, Iowa State does have real NFL talent. Matt Campbell is a tremendous scout as far as he and his staff do a great job of finding the 2- and 3-star guys that are going to play like 4s and 5s. He's got 3 All-American caliber guys on that team. And I do believe in what he can do as a coach. But I think he's more of a like I have a system, I have a formula, and he's going to pound out, when he gets to a great program, he's going to win 10 all the time. Like, I think he may be more Mark Richt than he is like, Nick Saban. Right? Like, and that's not fair. More Mark Richt than he is who's grab, the guy who can grab or play for the national championship, Chip Kelly. Right? Like, I don't know that he's ever going to, more Kirk Ferentz. Like, he's got a formula that's going to win it consistently, but I don't know that he'll put together that magical season. Now, that formula to me is a little bit of a Nick Saban formula who just grinds it out. It's just he's the best at grinding it out, and he's married up with the best program with the best resources. But I like Matt Campbell anytime it's supposed to be a dogfight. I think he's in pretty good shape against anybody not named Kirk Ferentz in Iowa.
Yeah, that was rough. Do you not like Dave Aranda?
Why?
No, I'm saying, I'm asking you. Do you think that's their problem, Baylor's problem?
I don't like when you're changing things as much as they've been changing things. Right? Like I think that's part of it. And I do think that while they blew out Kansas in the second half, a limited team, I think the 14-7 in the first half speaks a lot. I think Baylor's a 5-7 team.
And by the way, people are asking questions about Iowa State. Crowd was good, and so Pro Martini Maker saying that they were in his restaurant. They were good. Yeah, there's like 20,000 at the game. They were loud. They were fired up.
I would defy if you found an Iowa State fan that was a pain in the ass. I think you went looking for it. I think they're great. They descend upon Kansas City for the Big 12 basketball tournament every year, whether their team sucks or is awesome. Iowa State fans are as good as it gets. They're as absolutely as good as it gets. Because usually their team is not fighting for a national championship. Most of the time, frankly, it's not fighting for a conference championship. And they're there, balls to the wall, like it's nobody's business.
I can agree with this. I think the Big Ten's a lot more wide open than people realize. So, the fact that, and I will say it again, the division alignment in the Big Ten sucks. So freaking reset it and make it all one conference because it blows. But they have the advantage of being in the West. But I was good, man. They're rock solid on defense.
I kind of like the idea of getting to 16 teams and making it pods. The pod thing is intriguing. Like when I hear the SEC pod,
the SEC pods were the SEC pods. We went through them were a disaster for some schools.
Well, they're a disaster for all the bottom feeders, but you're signing up to be a disaster when you're in those leagues. Like Vanderbilt has no voice. You're going to eat shit for your entire football existence, right? Missouri, if you can steal they have to steal a spot just in the freaking, conference championship game, let alone steal a win. But I think it's at least mathematically the fairest way. You take on all your division, let's call it a division, your division teams, and then 2 each from the other ones, and you rotate them. That's about as fair as you're going to get. But I hate the idea. Listen, I'm going to tell you, watching the Big 12 where everybody plays everybody, and then the conference championship game is first against second. It's always just, okay, second, here's your next best chance against number one, and Oklahoma slaps them down again. It sucks. At least if you have divisions, right, or divisions and pods or whatever you want to call it, subdivisions, then you have a chance of having two teams that haven't faced each other.
Well, the Big Ten East is going to be a bloodbath between Penn State and Michigan and Ohio State. I mean, good luck getting through it without a loss. And then even the teams at the bottom are not, completely shitty anymore. So, you could sneak up and freaking look ahead and lose one of those games too.
You can't do it unless you got 16 teams. So you got to figure out the 15th and 16 teams.
Yeah. Kansas, man. I'm all about Kansas. I'm ready. Did you like it? I'm kidding. No, I mean from a match
from a Big Ten standpoint.
From a match with the conference, it works.
I have actually heard some conversation. I'm not saying Kansas is going there. I'm not reporting anything, but
yeah,
that there's a thought process to what it would take.
Go West, young man. Try to join the Pac-12. No, it's not going to happen.
I mean, I won't say. I think any of the surviving members, like I would say, if you give me 2-1 for sure, I would take that the 12 schools that are supposed to be the Big 12, 4 years from now, will never actually line up and be all together.
Really?
I just think the other 14 team power leagues, you're gonna have to say, and the 12 team Pac-12 are going to need to get to 16. I mean, I think ultimately you're going to need the commercial inventory, and I think you're going to need the strength in numbers to combat the SEC. I don't think you can just let the SEC keep growing unchecked.
I do like that thought, though. We're going to get all geeked up for the new Big 12, and then then 2 or 4 more teams leave.
Yeah, I mean, if it was
I
Kansas,
cannot.
Iowa State to the Big Ten because they're the only other AAU members outside of the Big Ten that aren't in a Power Four. If that was it, or if Oklahoma State and Texas Tech end up in the Pac-12, or Oklahoma State, Kansas, and Kansas State, whatever it is, take your pick. I think the other three leagues have realized we don't have to rush to anything because the SEC is not grabbing anybody soon. Although that may end up being fool's gold if the SEC goes and offers Maryland, right? Maryland and Virginia.
Right.
It says we're going to expand north.
Sorry, I was laughing at when B. Musfeld put up Syracuse. It got me thinking. I was just thinking back to the game, the Rutgers Syracuse
What about
game.
Syracuse?
What's that?
Like what about Syracuse? Why?
Oh no, I was laughing. I was just laughing at I did mention this to you last week. I was laughing at the intro of the Rutgers Syracuse game, and the intro was like, Rutgers goes to ACC country. I'm like, cut the shit, ACC country. I'm like, they're former sort of Northeast rivals. They have a history of playing each other in different conferences and independents. ACC country, like right. they just headed down a Tobacco Road.
Yeah, ACC country, like it was turf that was bought and paid for with blood. Battlefields of the ACC. That's
one of those things I cannot get past is Boston College and freaking Syracuse in the ACC. It's just so dumb.
Yeah, Syracuse right on the Atlantic Ocean.
And there's a lot of Big Ten people who would say the same thing about Rutgers and Maryland, so I get it.
I agree.
Yeah. Rivalries, tradition. It's all gone. I don't like the card a lot this week. Do you guys have some games that you like in the room? Because I like some of there's a couple of West Coast spots that are interesting, but
on the college side, you mean?
Well, yeah. I will say, because I won, it was a fun game. Southern Cal bounces back this week. They're 11.5 against Oregon State. I don't know if you saw what happened in that game, but Nick Rolovich is he's chalking up one of the more incredible ATS records. I think he's like 15-31-2 now, ATS. Washington State got out to a 14-0 lead. Keaton Slovis, the USC quarterback, got hurt. Jackson Dart, who's another Utah area kid, comes in 45 unanswered. When it was 14-0, I actually got USC money line at plus 170. 45-14. So Rolovich is a disaster because he's still dealing with his vax battle, which is lunacy that he's still doing this. Like, dude, I think he has to get vaxxed by October 9th or October 19th. So
I don't know if you know this, but actually Howard Stern is the problem.
Wait, what happened?
You haven't seen that story?
No, what is it?
I don't remember who it was. There's somebody who is now claiming that Howard Stern, along with other media members, have tricked the right wing by saying they should get vaccinated. That was their idea, to trick the right wing into not getting vaccinated, knowing that the right wing would do the opposite of whatever they said. So therefore, they're responsible for the number of right wing people that have died off not being vaccinated.
I have not heard that. That's a wild one.
Some big talk show guy.
Really?
It's his new theory.
Maybe. I thought Howard Stern, or I thought someone else pretty big the other day was like, basically unvaxxed people, don't even let them into a hospital, just let them die. I was like, okay, here we are.
I mean, if you're going to tax people for cigarettes,
yeah.
I mean, you tax them for the medical.
Well, I'm a chubby, big-titted guy. Maybe I shouldn't be allowed in hospitals either.
That's it. Do fat people tax?
We want to be, again, go to death panels and who judges, who gets.
I try. People think it's easy. It isn't easy.
Slippery slope. Slippery slope.
The games are probably easier than figuring that out.
Cam Fletcher says, I'm excited that Notre Dame, Wisconsin are playing at Soldier Field. Truth says Notre Dame at Soldier Field is dumb as hell. All
right. Who do you like? 6 points, Wisconsin.
Notre Dame. But I don't really love anyone in the game. I think it'll be a tight game, so I'll take the points.
Are you what do you think Notre Dame is?
What does that mean? How good are they?
Yeah.
Probably 8-win team. They're not. I don't think they're a national title contender. Do you?
Well, they're going to get that credit, right? Like, I mean, they're one of the few teams that consistently, or at least on a.
They have no shot. They got by Purdue. They barely beat Toledo. They had to go to overtime with Florida State. We see what Florida State is. The rest of their schedule is Wisconsin, Cincy, VTech, Southern Cal, North Carolina, Navy, Virginia, G-Tech, Stanford. That's if he wins 8, that's actually a good season. They have no shot at being in the picture. None. That schedule is ridiculous.
I like Wisconsin as well, but I think that like it's an avalanche. You would think it's an avalanche on money, but what is it? 62% of the cash on Wisconsin, 65% of the tickets on Notre Dame.
Okay.
I mean, that's the split you'd want. But no, I like Wisconsin.
Well, I said I like Notre Dame, so I said I'd take the points. I think Notre Dame is one of those teams when you're in a position of they're going to play a lot of close games, so you get nearly a touchdown, you take the touchdown. So, but we can revisit it next week when they get blown off the field. I don't know that they're going to get blown off the field.
Well, listen, I'm trying to figure out Wisconsin why they weren't better against Penn State, and Mertz like throwing 3 picks against Penn State is a problem to me. Mertz putting out his own Tom Brady TB12 logo as soon as the NIL came about scares me because I think he's a quality quarterback and has a high upside, but he seems to be more about being the guy than he is about, grinding the film and winning.
Are you starting to get worried about any other players dealing with the stuff?
Mertz, we keep an eye on because he's a local kid, right? He went to the Blue Valley schools here, and Wisconsin jumped on him when he's like a sophomore, and like Kansas wasn't on him at all, right? And he's the starting quarterback as a sophomore at Wisconsin. So, like, we follow him closer than anybody. And he had a logo that he hatched like 30 seconds after it was legal. He had his own, GM5 or M5 or whatever he was doing. So we keep an eye on it. But, I think it's something to watch. Who's about the business and who's about playing football and winning?
Yeah.
Missouri -1 at Boston College.
What a weird crossover spot. I thought Boston College would fall apart without their quarterback, but I would probably take BC.
Why? Because you don't know why Missouri's favored?
I don't know why they're favored, and I don't really understand their motivation for the game. Aside from natural motivation, you want to win, but you know what I mean?
Are you questioning their motivation because the coach said, I'm not sure why we're going to Boston College because of all the people we recruit at Massachusetts?
That could be part of it. I'm glad he said it because that's what I was thinking too. I'm like, there are certain games where you're like, well, why are we even playing this game? The SEC games are the ones that matter.
I'm going to read you something. So that's
who scheduled that one? That wasn't Desiree, right? Late scheduling? No, I'm kidding.
It was not. Right. So, as we know, football schedules are mapped out years in advance. He's like, well, I don't remember when. I don't know if Missouri's ever had a kid from Massachusetts. We don't recruit there. I'd rather it be somebody in more of a rival territory in an area that we recruit. Right? He was pretty honest. He tried to make a joke about it. How about this? In 2024, let's say Eli Drinkwitz is still the coach. They're non-con, Murray State, Buffalo, Boston College,
again,
and at UMass.
At UMass. Who agreed to that?
Somebody had a thing for the Northeast.
Yeah, but who agreed at Boston College is one thing. It's an ACC team.
At UMass, as you and I both know, UMass is
they're terrible.
No offense to UMass grads, but the school people at UMass don't want to be at UMass. You end up at UMass. Nobody's like, like what's your safety school if UMass was your
I don't think it's not a terrible school. And
Nobody.
it was cool to go to when we were in school. When Calipari was there, it was a hot spot.
What? No, it was not. Because I had friends who had friends. I had Boston friends at Syracuse when John Calipari was there, who their friends were at UMass, and they came up to Syracuse, and they all bitched about being stuck at UMass.
How really?
You couldn't graduate. The school was going bankrupt. You couldn't graduate in 4 years. You could not get your class load to graduate. Now, maybe it's gotten immensely better in the 20-plus years since I was there.
Yeah.
Think about the colleges in the state of Massachusetts.
Some pretty good ones.
Where do you think UMass ranks? How do you end up with a home and a home? If UMass wants to come and take a beating at your place, okay.
Right.
What dipshit signed a home and home and to go back out to UMass when you coach Missouri?
I've told the story before. I enjoyed Springfield, Mass.
I have nothing wrong with Massachusetts. I like going there.
I thought Springfield, Mass, to this day still has, I mean, it's been a long time since I've been there, had the hardest working strippers I've ever seen in my life. I've told you this before, right? It's at the time, maybe they've changed it. It was all nude with alcohol, and like you gave them $1, and it was like a 20-minute show with puss right in your grill. Sorry to get filthy, but I was like my home state, New Jersey, they can't show anything. Yeah, it has to be a juice bar for all nude, which I don't love all nude anyway. But they wear, basically wear like lingerie and bikinis in New Jersey, and they're just like you give them money and they're like, okay, they just walk away. They're like, here, fuck off. These women in Springfield, Mass. I'm like, does anyone tip here? I'm looking around. I'm like, you bastards. Treat these women nicely.
That's
come on, dude. Well, I'm a media person. I've traveled the country. You got to do your research. And that was actually when I was in college.
All research purposes, right?
Of course, yes. That was when I was probably 21 going up to UMass in college. I'm like, this is unbelievable. Yeah. You got it. I kept it clean. Exactly.
Yeah, sure you did.
So now GRS 315, Springfield, Mass. I'll have to do some research. I'm not going back there, but I'll do some research. Maybe they changed the laws. So get these women driving up from Fall River, Mass. Chris Herron's home. $1.
Chris Herron, Fresno State.
Yeah.
Like that's a
$1
reference right there.
How close I am to getting my heroin.
Where did he start before Fresno? He was someplace before Fresno, wasn't he?
I think he went. Did he go to Boston College? I think he went. He went pretty big time before that. Yeah, I think and then he flamed out because of his drug issues. So he's actually
there's a great documentary.
Yeah, he's a great story, and he's a great interview now. He's done a ton for for drug addicts, speaking about his issues. So, and Fall River, Mass. Really, I'm mocking on it, but it really is a hellhole.
Was it a 30 for 30 with him? It was kind of like just an ESPN documentary that wasn't in the 30 for 30. I can't remember.
I don't know.
When he hands his 5 years sober coin to his son, if you keep it together on that,
yeah,
I don't know. You don't got a heart.
I'm not going to get sappy, but I will make a pitch real quick. I got sidetracked a little bit before the show because one of my favorite shows is back. It's a fascinating show. It's called Love on the Spectrum.
Oh my God. What is this? Seriously.
No, it really is. It's about young autistic, like 20 somethings. Okay. And they're trying to date. They're trying to find a mate. And just like you watch autistic, and they're all kind of different levels of, autism and on the spectrum. And they're fascinating people to watch speak, and just like they speak and you're like, okay, they're pretty good. And then, there's certain things they just lock up on, but to watch them try to date each other and have a conversation, it's fascinating. The first season was friggin' awesome. Brady, I talked about it. Adam Hill and I went crazy about this the first time. It is a fun show, and it's not funny. Like you're laughing at them. It really, like, you get some real empathy, for what people go through. It's crazy What percent of the company do you think are on the from watching the show? I don't know. I'm not going to make jokes about it. So,
I'll check it out.
Raphael, the year you went to college, you have to use inflation calculator to get the current rate for that dollar. It's probably $25 to $30. Yep, you're right. You're right. I imagine I walk in now. I'm like, what? 25? Back in 91, I had a young lady in front of me for 7 minutes. You were in front of me for 15 seconds. So anyway, that's my pitch. That's my pitch for the Netflix. Love on the Spectrum. It's good stuff. No, you'll like it. I'm telling you, watch it.
Mm-hmm. Good times, yeah.
Good times. Very good times. All right, I want to do NFL. By the way, we the Super Contest, 6 3-week contests, 3 6-week contest. Leader right now after 2 weeks, 9-0-1. Let's do it. We're not the leader, nor are we in. It's quite the contest.
You gotta get red hot.
It's crazy. All right, Carolina, Houston on Thursday. I had Houston last week. Well, I had them in a teaser. Tyrod goes down. This is the week where, like, you want to stick to your guns, but do you bet bad and young quarterbacks? Like, you want to bet dogs. Can you bet these young quarterbacks? And it starts with Davis Mills. I mean, Carolina should not be a nice start. Consider the competition. Carolina should not be laying 8 against anyone. I know Sam Darnold looks revived here. But on the other side, I'm like, it's Davis Mills, and I have no idea based on like a quarter and a half of play what the hell I should do.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's Carolina or bust. You can't play the Texans. I mean, I know they sprung the upset win, but it's Carolina or bust. Don't go or go Carolina. I mean, Sam Darnold's at least a competent NFL quarterback, and you have no idea what you're getting.
Sorry, back to Love on the Spectrum. How does this even come together? I love selling to listeners on the Spectrum so they get their. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to appeal to our listeners on the Spectrum so they get their mortgage tuned up by my people. No, it's a legit business. Everyone should get their mortgage tuned up. I don't know what's happening. So anyway, all right, guts. Time to show guts.
Well, where are you on the Texans and Panthers?
It's a no play. It's an in play. I'm going to play in game, and I'm going to want the Texans. I hope Carolina gets out to a good start, and then it turns into a low scoring game that the Texans, Davis Mills doesn't make too many mistakes. I think the Texans are going to win some games, and I think the Texans are going to compete all year. So Adam Hill's the one who talked about it repeatedly, that Houston has this really weird mix of they signed a ton of one-year players and they traded a couple of them, but they have a lot of guys who are playing for their jobs, like playing for their next job. And they have some good veterans on the team. And, now it sucks. Tyrod Taylor's out for a minimum of 3 weeks, but they're not, I don't think right now they're not your typical tank team. They may just dump everyone and then you got to reset. But I think they're going to play hard. And are you buying Sam Darnold so far?
I'm not buying him, but I at least know what I'm getting in him. I don't know what I'm getting in David Mills. Right? So, I don't know how you can be I will not bet an NFL game with a team that doesn't have a quarterback. And I cannot say the Houston Texans have a quarterback. I can't say Carolina has a quarterback either. And if Carolina, like the odds that I'm going to be oh, Carolina plus 17 against the Chiefs, give me Carolina. Oh, the Carolina against the Rams, Carolina gets you give me an established quarterback, I'm probably not taking Carolina. And they'll get a cover there, right? Maybe even a win. It's not to say that they can't, but just I can't play a non-quarterback. But the quarterback position at Carolina is much more stable than whatever it is at Houston.
Sorry, there's a whole side conversation going on here. Let's see. Layoff Dustin DeHart. Cofield was able to fix up his house and even take out money. He tells me so. The commie says fixed up his backyard oasis to tan his man boobs. Okay.
That's you.
Pro Martini Maker said got the backyard oasis he always wanted. And then Brady says advertising obviously fucking works because we all have it memorized. Exactly. It was a true story. Yeah. I'm not lying. I don't lie. I don't lie about Twin Peaks. I don't lie about Crazy Horse 3. I don't lie about Dustin DeHart. So I definitely don't lie about Justin Watkins. I'm so confident in Justin Watkins that I shouldn't say this on a broadcast because then there'll be a sting to get me. If I need to jump into the HOV lane without feeling much risk, I do it because of Justin Watkins. Because I know he will go and fight the fight for me. So
I'll back up Justin.
Although he's been a little too soft on he's pushed back on our hatred of our HOV lane here. We had newly installed HOV lanes a couple of years ago, and it's made the traffic a lot worse. So every once in a while, Adam Hill and I just explode, and then Justin tries to talk us off the ledge. But
okay,
but I will go to court with a guy over $175 ticket any day of the week. He's not announcing his franchise tomorrow. I don't know what's going on. The restaurant or restaurants are coming along at some point. All right. I bet Jacksonville last week. It was a horrible feeling. I felt good early on. I still don't believe Denver is great, but Urban Meyer is struggling, and Trevor Lawrence has been, he was bad last week. So again, this is one of those, like, do you stick to your principles? You got a quarterback you're struggling. Arizona's at Jax. This is clearly a letdown spot for Zona. Like, you have to take Jacksonville +7, but you're like, my Lord.
And everybody is on Arizona.
And yet the number hasn't exploded, so everyone isn't on Arizona. You can see in the lines this week that the sharps are like, F you, we're doing what we do, and we're gonna bet this. We're gonna bet the side you expect us to bet. So this is another. There's some really interesting pros versus Joe spots here. But yeah,
so what do you think this one is?
What do you mean?
Pros versus Joes.
Oh, I think the Joes are on Arizona, and I think the pros are keeping the line at 7 by sprinkling some money on Jacksonville.
Right. And so, I agree. I would take Jacksonville here. I don't like Arizona laying any kind of big number, but I don't like the Jags. They were 1-15 for a goddamn reason.
They're so bad.
I would not bet it.
Pro Martinis makers like, no, you don't have to. You're right.
I like the next game, though.
Indy and Tennessee.
Yep. What you got?
Did you play Tennessee and Seattle?
I did not.
I didn't get down on Tennessee before the game, but they were +14 in the game. I was like, okay, I'll roll the dice on this. So, but I actually going in, I actually did. I thought they had a chance to win. That was a super overreaction. So you've been telling us you think Tennessee is going to regress, right?
I do think they're regressing this year, but I think they're dangerous by regressing 8-8, right? 7-9, 9. They could be 9-8, but just no threat to do anything. I'm sorry, 8-8 would be 8-9, 9-8, but no threat to really do anything. I mean, I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender, which a lot of people want to made them out to be. But no, I mean, I like the Colts.
You don't care what Wentz status is? Ooh, Jacob Eason time.
Why are we looking at what we're looking at here?
With Eason, with Eason, the number should be bigger.
Right?
And they kind of build that into the number unless they've got sources saying Wentz is playing.
Should be baked in there.
Yeah. I love this. I love this card this week. All right, another one. Baltimore and Detroit. Do you have the split in front of you on that one? It's Baltimore 8, 7.5 at Detroit. Now Detroit
87% of the cash on the Ravens, 95% of the tickets on the Ravens. Move.
Yeah.
It went up and is back down 7.5 to 7.5.
I'll lean Detroit.
I will lean Detroit too. I
don't
love it, but
again, Baltimore's on a friggin' high after that game.
Detroit has a quarterback, but I don't love all the other pieces. But
how do you explain the Chiefs' loss to your disappointed audience?
Well, I mean, the audience is of the opinion that Andy Reid can't call a game to save his ass. The defense is the dumbest bunch of,
Oh my God.
untalented turds that have ever lived.
Sorensen, get your shit together.
The when I finally lost it was when
I finally lost it.
the calls came in saying you don't take the ball out of your quarterback's hands, and I'm like, he's trying to drain the clock. You sons of bitches always pitch if he leaves too much time on the clock. So he handed off to Clyde Edwards-Helaire to try to drain the clock. By the way, a running back that had never fumbled in the NFL.
Amazing, I know.
And they're like, no, you got to run Mahomes. Because Mahomes wouldn't fumble.
No.
And he clearly wouldn't get hurt. Never mind that he had a dislocated kneecap on a quarterback sneak and got knocked out with a concussion running an option play against the Browns in the playoffs. But the conclusion now is to run Mahomes.
Are they just taking for granted what Lamar Jackson does and is?
Yes.
Come on. I mean, it's a different level guy when it comes to running the ball.
Well, they're taking for granted that Andy Reid really did need to drain the clock because 5 of the last 6 possessions the Ravens had the ball, they scored. 4 of them were touchdowns. You were not going to stop the Ravens if you gave the ball back to them. So a field goal, you needed to hand it back to him with like 40 seconds. A touchdown, you can hand it back with like a minute and change. So he's trying to drain the clock and get the win. And somehow, like, Andy Reid should have known, to that point, Andy Reid should have known that the ball was going to get knocked out.
Let's all hope that what John Harbaugh did, and I know he has the best running quarterback in the NFL, but what John Harbaugh did to seal the game becomes more of the norm with most coaches, especially if they're going against one of the elite 5 or 6 best quarterbacks.
Yes.
Stop giving them the ball back. Stop doing what Dallas did in their opener with Tom Brady. Cut the shit. Man up, hat on hat, get a goddamn yard.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care if you're at your own 45-yard line. I
agree.
That was awesome. I love that. I love the drama the way it went down where Harbaugh was going to run it. I mean, I'm sorry. Harbaugh was going to go for it, but he's like,
it was like,
how do you feel?
Yeah. He wasn't sure he wanted to go for it. I'm like, oh, bullshit. That was all done to pump up his team and let him think that they brought him along. And
can you imagine Lamar's like, nah, starts running off
the guy. He's gone for 4th downs time and time again against the Chiefs. He knows he can't just sit there and play it straight and beat Patrick Mahomes. He knows it's an uphill battle, and he's always gone for it against them.
Yeah, so I'm taking Detroit. I see an 8.5 up here. Whatever the best number is I can get, I'm taking Detroit against Baltimore. God damn it, I want to take football team against Buffalo too. 8.5.
I will take football team. And I don't hesitate. Ron Rivera can coach.
Are you ready to fade Buffalo a little bit for a while here?
I was on the fade Buffalo before the season began. So them losing to Pittsburgh was by design as far as I'm concerned. Bouncing back and beating the absolute piss out of the Dolphins in week 2 was not what I saw in the cards. I didn't like Miami in the game, and I didn't know Tua was going to go down.
Right.
But no, I'm ready to fade the Bills. Yeah, hell yeah. I mean, I'll take Ron Rivera getting a boatload of points all the time, all day. Give it to me.
What is the split on the Saints and the Patriots from a public betting standpoint? This number looks ridiculous to me, and it's moving down. It's 3 even. New England at home against the Saints, who just look like ass against the Panthers.
I got to.
The sharps are all over the Saints. This is awesome. I love this line.
What did it start at?
Well, I don't have the original. The VI number here is ridiculous, so I'd have to look it up. Does anyone know how much has it moved? I don't think it's moved. I know it was 3, and now it's 3 even.
I'm seeing 2.5. And I'm showing the open of a pick.
That's what I see, the open of a pick too, but I don't love the VI opening indicator.
63% of the money in the tickets are on the Pats.
Okay, that's not too bad. I figured it'd be like 85%.
Where are you?
Believe it or not, I'm actually going to go with New England.
I'm on
I
Saints.
didn't believe in the Saints before the season. I haven't seen an update. Are they getting all 7 assistants back and they actually work the game? The COVID guys.
I mean, that's a big. That would be a game time. Let's see who's going to be out there. I'm expecting that they'll get a number of them back, and I think that clearly contributed to what happened. It's one of the reasons why I like the Saints. Like, I think they can play defense, and so Mac Jones isn't going to get a free roll. And I think, we've seen what Winston is. He can be hot or cold.
Ooh.
Oh, well, Bill Belichick will have it all figured out. Sean Payton's no joke. Give me some Saints.
Low total of 41.5, 42. Wow.
2 defenses.
Yep.
2 of the best defenses in football. And questionable quarterback play. I mean, as far as a quarterback, I know Mac Jones has been pretty good, but that's relatively speaking to the fact that what our expectations are for him as a rookie, and then Jameis Winston can be god-awful.
Blowout Central for the Chiefs, -6.5. It goes against those Taunton Chargers. A lot of taunting penalties.
Yeah, wish the number was even bigger. But, the Chargers have scored 37 points for all the bluster about Herbert. 2 300-plus yard passing games, but where are the points? You got to get it in the end zone. He's throwing 2 touchdowns, 3 INTs. Eckler is a bad matchup for the Chiefs, but I don't think Mike Williams is anything more than a pedestrian receiver, and I don't think Keenan Allen, who I was surprised by how much he went for in our fantasy league. I know it's a PPR and you're expecting a bunch of picks, but he tends to get hurt, and I also think he's getting old. I don't think the weaponry is that good with the Chargers, and I do believe in the sophomore slump, and the Chiefs have not covered a regular season game for like 9 games. Like, unleash the fury. Yeah, I think an ass kicking's coming, and the Chiefs are going to be the one kicking the ass.
Giants, Atlanta. Should I not mention any Atlanta games this whole season? Are you just out?
I mean, I've told you, they're not even bothering to make it painful.
Well, last week was painful.
Well,
I told you I did a teaser the other way where I had the Texans +19 and the Falcons +19.5. It's 28-25 going to the 4th, and Matt Ryan throws 2 pick sixes. Thanks, bro.
Yeah. And Tom Brady threw a couple more touches too, I think, in that time.
Are the Giants... So we saw today Kenny Golladay came out and he's like, no, I wasn't yelling at Daniel Jones. I was yelling at Jason Garrett. Okay.
That's better.
That's what I said too. I'm like, okay. Are the Giants on the verge of getting it together?
No.
Like, pissed off. They jump off sides. They effed up the game on Thursday night. They could have won it. Jones showed some good signs. The receivers are getting healthier and healthier. Barkley, I don't know what he's at now, but he's going to, as long as he doesn't get dinged up, he's going to be healthier and healthier. I know their O-line sucks, but
there's firepower on the Giants and they will sting somebody. But if your plan is like roll the Giants and ride them,
ride them. Just
hate money.
You just
send it to me. Because
I'll write you a check.
I've talked to people and I'm like, what's the word? Is the Giants coach, people buying in? I don't even know his name. Are they buying in? They're like, no, he sucks. He's the worst coach in the league.
Stop. Really?
It's what one person told me.
He is. I got to pull up a soundbite. Of course, it's not going to freaking play. I got to pull up a soundbite here. He did a speech because a reporter was getting after him. He did a speech post game, and I was like, man, this is the kind of stuff that worries me. This football speak, you know what I mean? And you're talking to adults, and I don't mean the media. I mean the players. We're like, this is almost detrimental, man.
Almost.
Well, I love studying coaches and the way they speak to the media and the way they speak and the way I think they speak to the players. And I just look at them. I'm like, would I buy this? Would this work on me?
You got it?
No, of course not. God, this desktop's a nightmare. Just trying to kill some time there.
How many computers do you have?
How
about instead of having 7 shitty ones, buy one good one?
I know, right? Come on, baby. Come on, baby.
Feed the hamster some cheese.
The game was over. You would have won the game if you didn't go
Stop. Okay, so I'm going to set this up. This is the other thing I loved about this is that I'm not saying the New York media is the best, but the Northeast media gets to bust the horns of coaches, I think, more so than any other region of the country. So Joe Judge went like 5 minutes, and he was kind of like not making excuses, but he didn't seem to be taking serious. Like you just lost because a guy jumped off sides. That's a big deal, and it's like you have no margin for error, bro. So this is Jordan Rannon from ESPN. It's a little bit low, but he's like, do you get what just happened?
The game was over. You would have won the game if you didn't go offside. He's going to, have a lot of people asking him about what happened on that play and everything. You do grasp that, right? I mean, that part of it.
Jordan, I got you. Look,
the other pressure because he made a mistake that ultimately decided the game at the end.
And I'd say in terms of that pressure, guys, we all get paid pretty well. Pressure's part of the job, right? I mean, my son's playing high school football right now. He didn't quite have that pressure because he's out there playing for fun. Every coach and every player, we're paid very well at this level. It's the ultimate level of competition. It's the ultimate team sport. There's pressure for all of us. We can handle that. We prepare to handle that. We talk a lot throughout our team building and our leadership building that when things like this happen, we respond the right way as a team.
Okay. So first he invokes his son. Here's the thing. He's like, we can handle it. So that's all coach speak bullshit, right? We're pros. We get paid. We can handle it. Okay, well, Kenny Galladay was fucking melting down on Jones or Garrett. Kadarius Toney went to social media later that night and was like, if you got whatever he said, if you got a Ferrari, you got to use it. Like, you can handle it? Because it doesn't seem like everyone's all buttoned up here. Are you sure you can handle it? Because you're already coming frayed in public.
Well, I mean, when you avoid the question, people know, smart people know, a bunch of the dumbasses in the room didn't know, but when you avoid the question, you just talk out there and coach speak and all that. It's, I mean, you're showing that you don't have your arms around the situation. And when a rookie is talking shit about what's going on,
2 games in,
they're laughing at you.
You barely played in the preseason, Kadarius Toney, and you're gonna. I'm not gonna say he's defying the coach, but like, if that's the culture that a guy feels comfy 2 games into the season, complaining about his role, like you got some problems, man.
Well, and let's come back and say, hey, he knows he can't do that. He can't jump offside in that situation. It just can't happen. And he's a good football player. He's going to win games. You give the Jimmy Johnson speech. I'm not cutting Leon Lett.
Right.
Leon Lett's a good football player. He's going to make more good plays for us than bad. I'm not doing. That's what you do.
And he did that. And he did that. He did that. He did that before that cut. So he did that. Okay. He did back up Dexter Lawrence. He's like, we're not going to flip out.
I heard he said Dexter Lawrence. No, I heard it, but he didn't go full Jimmy Johnson. Like, if you're going to play shenanigans, if you're going to play mind games in the media, unleash on the guy who asked the question. Be like, what do you want me to do? You want me to cut Dexter Lawrence? God damn it, I'm not cutting Dexter Lawrence. Blah, blah, blah. And you unleash on him, and you like the guy's like, no, I wasn't suggesting. Like, doesn't matter. Like, if your bullshit is to play to your team and send a message through the media, then do it. But it's obvious that he's a joke in the locker room, and that's what I've been told. The guy's a joke. He's the worst coach in the league. By one person, not many, one person, but it's a person I trust.
Justin Fields +7 against the Browns. What do you think?
Like, you've got to be kidding me. On the national fascination of why Justin Fields should play. They put up the numbers of Dalton and Fields throwing the ball side by side. And everyone's like, you got to play Fields. Like the troop of former player former player talking heads that are on ESPN in the morning who have no independent thought. They look like the lemmings and sheep that most players are, who have just decided that the consensus is you play every young quarterback. I don't see it in Fields, and there's no history of an Ohio State quarterback, an Urban Meyer style quarterback. The best one of the bunch is Alex Smith, right? And Matt Nagy was part of a team that turned away from Alex Smith. Like, who would you rather have, Justin Fields or Mac Jones? And everyone thought it was preposterous that the Niners would take Mac Jones over Justin Fields. They took neither. They took Trey Lance. And then the Bears got Fields, and who looks better? Mac Jones. And I was mocked for taking Mac Jones as my Heisman Trophy winner. I think Mac Jones has touch, accuracy, leadership. Justin Fields doesn't throw the ball worth shit. Okay? He's a running quarterback. No, I'm never taking a Justin Fields-led Bears team in his rookie year. No, never, ever. Absolutely not. Give me the Browns all day. And I might lose, but you keep betting Justin Fields. Justin Fields is a media creation. I don't think Justin Fields will ever be a successful quarterback. I don't think Justin Fields sees the field. I think Urban Meyer has an offense that's a one-read offense, and he diagnoses what the other team's doing. He tells his quarterback exactly where to go with the ball, and they look like rock stars because Urban Meyer's a rock star against other college football coaches. I don't think he's going to be. I was optimistic he'd be really good against NFL coaches. I haven't appreciated what I've seen to this point, but no way, Fields. Whatever. Bullshit. No way, Alex.
Fields needs a week of practice, full chance to start and play, not run packages or come in through the game.
You want to fully evaluate him? Alex is 100% right. We can't evaluate him coming in when he doesn't get the reps. He's going to get the reps. He comes out, and he's King Kong, 3 touchdown passes, 200 plus. I don't even need 300 plus. 200 plus, 3 touchdown passes, no INTs. F&A, Cotton, let's go. But if he comes out and he's 279 with a touchdown and 3 picks, I don't want to hear it. Right? He comes out and he's 165 with 89 shitty rushing yards on 19 attempts, and he gets his ass handed to him. I don't want to hear it. He's going to get the reps this week. And everyone's like, oh, Matt Nagy starting Andy Dalton. It's preposterous. How can you possibly say it? Andy Dalton was, what was he, like 11 of 13 before he went down?
Yeah.
And Fields is like 6 of 13? Come on.
Through the interception towards the end that, brought him back to 20-17.
And they breathe like, how can you possibly start it? Because Justin Fields, first of all, I don't think he's ever going to be that good, but he's definitely not good now.
How much of the Raiders and Steelers game did you watch?
More than I should have.
Did you think the Steelers
I should point out, thanks to my friends at Family Leisure.
Nice.
Putting together a high top table and bar stools while the game was going on.
What?
Got a little area that was empty. So I got a bar high top table.
Empty.
3 bar stools.
Did you get rid of furniture? What happened?
No, you can see the TVs this way. You can see the TVs that way. It's like in between the bar and the.
Oh, nice. It's like a real bar.
I have a real bar. You know that.
Yeah. No, I meant it's a real bar viewing experience. You got a table.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm going for.
Holy shit.
Thanks, Dennis. Family Leisure. Holly hooked us up. She's great.
Did you think Pittsburgh really threatened the Raiders at any point? I felt very comfortable watching that game.
I think the Bills, when they lose on the road in the playoffs, are going to be like, how did we shit in our hat against the Steelers? I don't think the Steelers are good. I think Mike Tomlin's a hell of a coach, and you leave him in the fight, right? You got to knock him out early. Mike Tomlin reminds me of, I don't know, what was it? Was it that Brad Pitt tank movie or was it whatever they were trying to get everybody off the French coast? Was that one?
Let's go, chat room. What's the movie?
World War II movie. And what's his name? Bane from Batman is the pilot.
I like the first answer from Mitch Cumstain. Yes, it was
Dunkirk.
7. It was 7.
It's Dunkirk. Not 7. It's Dunkirk.
Don't you remember the part where wait, yeah, maybe you're right. He didn't scream "What's in the box" in Dunkirk?
No. Like there's a line somebody makes. I think it might be Brad Pitt in the tank movie. Fury, I think it was called. Where he's like, we're still in this fight. Right? Like rallying the guys like, hey, the numbers look overwhelming, but we're still in this fight. Like, that's Mike Tomlin. Like, he does a great job, but if you knock him out, get Thelma Louise.
It kind of was. I feel like the season is going to be Thelma and Louise if Big Ben goes down right off the cliff.
But no, I don't like how the Steelers are constructed. The offensive line is not what it was. They used to be built around a Hall of Fame quarterback, a great offensive line, the ability to run the ball, and great defense. And now they've lost. No. TJ Watt's injury is a big problem. No,
You want the Bengals plus 3.5 against Steelers?
I do.
Oh,
Because I love Mike Tomlin, and I think everybody else does too.
yeah. Well, that's against tradition, huh?
55. Listen, the spread was 7. It's now 3.5. 55% of I forget which one's first. 55% of the money is on the Steelers. 78% of the tickets is on the Steelers. Lines dropped from 7 to 3.5.
And that's another one. When you look at the number, the books are recalibrating your opinion. If you have a high opinion on the Steelers, the books are telling you they ain't that good.
That's right.
That's why the number's 3.5. Don't overthink it. So this is weird. So Vegas off the emotional win. It's 4.5. Now it's down to 3.5. Tua is questionable. People are, getting boners over freaking Derek Carr. And the number, like I said, has gone from 4.5. Well, it was a high of 4.5 early in the week. Now it's back to 3.5. What do you think?
I'm worried about my initial assessment about the Dolphins, which I think they're a quality team, but I'm gonna stand on it. And my initial assessment about the Raiders, I do think the Raiders are better than advertised. And I remember we had this conversation. I said the only team in the AFC that I feel great about betting the over is the Raiders. They're my strongest play is the Raiders over.
Right.
Because I don't think I think the floor is high. And they're getting good play out of the corner.
The new one this time, Casey Hayward. Yep.
Casey Hayward is playing at a high level again,
Yep.
and has had a history of playing well. So I do like the Raiders. I like the Raiders coming in, but I also like the Dolphins. So this is a tough one for me to get my arms around. So I probably would just ride the train and play the Raiders, or I wouldn't play it. I mean, I look for spots to play the Dolphins, but I think part of it's because I like their coach, and I'm rooting for him as much as I am analyzing. But John Gruden, this many years into it, veteran quarterback, Derek Carr's hot. I mean, defense is playing better. It's a tough call to take the Dolphins. I'll take the Raiders.
This number is based on Carr's injury, so he's questionable going in with an ankle. I think he'll play, but the other problem is this retooled offensive line. They've survived the retooled offensive line so far. Leatherwood hasn't been good, and now he's hurt. That was a first-round pick at right tackle. The right guard went down for the season, and Denzel Good. Illuminor has actually been one of the better linemen they've had. Andre James, the new center. They dumped Rodney Hudson. He's been awful. Incognito still not back. John Simpson, who was a 4th-round pick from Clemson, awful. Colton Miller's been good. So 4 of the 5 offensive linemen right now are a question. I saw Mike Tannenbaum put out the numbers in the PFF ratings and also said that Carr's on pace to get sacked 42 times. So, by the way, they have no backup now either. So if Carr with the ankle goes down, it's freaking Peterman situation. That's why the numbers hold. That's why the numbers holding steady, and it's not like 5.
You think the Dolphins have enough firepower without
Dude,
Tua?
I don't.
I mean, I think the game is you clearly don't play
the set at all. Yeah,
you clearly don't play the game.
And I didn't mention Josh Jacobs is out, which I don't think is like a massive issue because I think they can survive with Peyton Barber and Kenyon Drake. Frankly, if you're a Raiders fan, when Jacobs comes back, what they're doing now is the way they need to play, which is Carr needs to go back. He's got good receivers. He's got Waller. He's got a second tight end. Freaking throw the ball. Throw the ball 38 to 42. I always blank on your goddamn line and I want to steal it. What's your whole line about passing and running?
You throw to win, you run when you're winning.
Right. I like that. So, and hopefully, like these first two games, he's been forced, but these first two games have kind of flipped in terms of what we've seen from John Gruden. Enough with the running. You got a really good quarterback. You got weapons. Force him to freaking use Brian Edwards and Ruggs, and he did last week. And Ruggs had a 61-yarder or so. All right, another number that's going down. It was 11 at its peak. It's now 10 at one spot, 10.5. You got to bet bad teams, and you got to bet a bad quarterback here. Do you do it? The Jets at Denver.
I like the talent of Zach Wilson. I know he had a terrible game. Yeah, I'd bet the Jets.
Ooh, okay.
The Broncos should not be laying double digits.
I agree. I do not think this team's a great team. Their defense is good.
A lot of talent, giving up 26 points the first two games, and the Jets are the kind of team that may only score 13 points, but the Broncos will probably score 17.
Tampa's moved out to 1.5 against the Rams. Rams? Let's do it. Pat Stafford, this is your chance, dude. Start winning big games like this.
Well, I agree with that, but both these teams are like darlings. Like when two darlings get together, what happens?
Ooh. 55 total. 55.
What's your why? What's your point? That's
I would play under.
too high. You play the under.
Yeah.
Money coming in on the Bucks right now. I mean, the Bucks are really good.
They're really good on offense. They were a machine last week.
They're really freaking good.
God dang you with Gronk. You son of a bitch. You talked him up all during the offseason, all during the preseason, and look at him. My God.
Well, once I got him, I said, I think I got a steal here. I don't know why you guys weren't bidding on the guy.
No.
Yeah, I'd probably bet the Bucks or sit it out. I'm not all in on the Rams yet. They may be the second best team in the NFC. East Coast going west. I'd probably bet the Bucks or sit it out. I'll take the Bucks. I'm not ready to. Matt Stafford's been a coach killer his whole career. I won't sit it out. I'll play the Bucks.
Okay. I lean Rams. I'm taking Minnesota plus the points, and it's a small number, so Minnesota will win outright against Seattle.
You're that confident? Why?
Because I think Minnesota, back against the wall. Zimmer normally is good off a loss. He covered the spread this last game. So his ATS record is amazing off losses. And I think Seattle ultimately has a lot of the same issues they had a year ago. I think Russell Wilson's awesome, but there's something going on between philosophy and, Wilson made a big mistake down the stretch. And come on, the Seattle defense just is not good. So this is the kind of game that, based on what we saw last week, I'm not an over better when it gets to 55.5. So I could see it turn into a shootout, but I give Minnesota the edge.
I'm not a fan of calling out your quarterback publicly. So yeah,
week two.
Yeah, who's the franchise guy who you already had a bumpy off season with. So I'm fine with the Vikings. I probably wouldn't play the game. I can't get my arms around it.
Pete Carroll's like, you know what? We took a giant crap on your head when you came out and said you wanted power, and I'm going to keep doing it until you're in your place, buddy. So I like Pete Carroll. He's frustrated, but and Russell Wilson's a big boy. Hey, you want more power in the organization? Then when you make a bad play, then you get called out in the media. But I think there's still some residual stuff there. All right, Green Bay, San Fran. This is a fascinating game, but I feel like our whole show are like our little Shanny hose, which is funny because his record is actually under 500 in the National Football League. They looked, I thought, good, not great. They lost 14 running backs, as they tend to do every single game. So I don't know who's going to play running back, but 3.5 San Fran's favored against the Packers. Ooh. Yep. That's what I thought. Yep.
Well, I mean, the Packers are getting all the love coming off the last game. So, I mean, which I get.
Why is it 3.5? Why do we have to pay the hook here?
I don't know, because my assumption is because they think the 49ers are going to win.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I'm on the Niners.
Run. even if it's, I don't know who it's going to be. Like all the running backs are hurt. JaMychal Hasty's out. We know Mostert's down for the season. Trey Sermon, I thought he died on the field. That was one of the most nastiest like body reactions to getting hit and then fumbling. It's crazy. All right, and then Monday night. But it's funny how the NFC East, the way Philly's played and the games that Dallas has played, like all of a sudden, this when you first looked at this, you're like, NFC East sucks. I don't want to see this crap on Monday night. Now I'm like, ooh, I don't know. I guess maybe I was way off on the not that it wasn't like the Eagles didn't beat the Niners. But the Eagles defense is going to be good. Fletcher Cox is a giant pain in the ass to defend. The thing for me with Dallas, I said it after the first game when McCarthy did his bull crap with going for the field goal, playing for a field goal. He did it again, and he got lucky this time because he got a 56-yarder at his kicker. I said it after the first game. They're going to have like 6 games like that, and they're going to go like 1-5 or 2-4. So they got their 1 or their 2. To me, I don't say this about coaches very often. You might want to take away like 1.5 points for the coach. I've never said that before. He really is a buffoon. He ran 35 or 40 seconds off the clock to kick a 56-yarder. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
After watching the week before when he lost playing for a field goal. Like, dumbass.
So I'm already
chubby Jason Garrett. Because Garrett used to do the same thing. You like the Cowboys?
Mm-hmm.
All right. At 2.5 or 4, you want to take the 1.5 off?
Oh, I'll take 2.5. If
it gets there. It's not going to get there.
Who do you like?
I think the NFC East. These teams are so even that I'm going to lean dog in most of the spots. So if I'm getting more than
I don't think the Eagles are good.
I don't think they're terrible. I thought they were like a 5-win team. I don't think they're a 5-win team. So I'll take the 4.
All right, so are you a believer in Jalen Hurts?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not.
All right, I guess we find out Monday. Then we talk on Tuesday. Someone's going to have bragging rights. It's going to be intense.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
What do you got going on the rest of the week?
I don't know. Usual.
I was asking. You're like, I don't remember, dude. Stop asking.
I don't bring my,
I don't know. Okay. I don't know.
That's Jed's problem.
Yeah. I'm told where to go. They buzz me in the morning and go show up here.
Thursday, I'm going to be out in Lawrence at Mr. Brew's Tap House.
What?
Yep. Mr. Brew's Tap House in Lawrence.
Is that place good?
I'll be there the first time.
Oh, really?
They have one in downtown OP, which is very popular. So I'm assuming yes.
How long is that drive?
40 minutes from my house.
Okay.
Yeah. Lawrence is a glorified suburb of Kansas City now. But like, New York and San Francisco standards, it's like the heart of the city. Right? Kansas City, you get out into open area, but not for very long. It's a quick, easy drive. All highway, it's easy.
Okay.
What about you? What's happening there on Cofield and Company?
We're on the road and I'm on the road. So we're at Battleborn Injury Lawyers tomorrow. Justin Watkins will be on. Thursday, we'll be at Silver Sevens. They have 77-cent beers there for Thursday Night Football.
Why wouldn't you?
Probably around 5 o'clock, I will be heading off the show. Willie Ramirez and Adam Candy will carry it, and I'll be headed to Fresno, one of my favorite cities. It's a great city. And then I'll be doing some of the show from Fresno before the UNLV football game on Friday night. So
Very nice.
I'm hoping they compete and can cover the 30.5. So I like to cover, let's get some positive stories going here.
There you go. I like it. Yeah, we start with the covers. Then you think about the wins, right?
Well, yes. Right now, yes. Yes. Have they been 30 plus? Yeah, they've been 30 plus point dogs in 3 straight spots. So
let me know how that goes.
Well, I will. Fresno's pretty good, so it might not be the prettiest picture. Please. These stories get harder to cover as they kind of sink deeper. I found myself asking a player today, I'm like, so you guys still fighting, still keeping the chin up? Like when you have to ask that like 6 weeks in a row, it gets a little older.
Yeah, right.
It's not a great story. So I agree, Martini Maker. We need to start covering here. Or we need to get some covers from Rebel Football. They're 1-1 in these spots where there were 30 or more. So we'll see it. We'll see.